listening to The Watchers, a show where two women from opposite ends of New Jersey finally watched the movie that has the tagline for our show just right in it. Hell is a teenage girl, Andrea. If we had to describe this show that we make to someone, like, what's your show actually about? Hell is a teenage girl.
Hell is a teenage girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've taken some detours, but that's what it always comes back to.
It's always what it comes back to. Yeah. I'm Jodie.
I'm Andrea.
And we watched Jennifer's Body.
A movie that is, I mean, I know how we didn't see it.
Yeah, it's not surprising to me that I didn't see it because A, the marketing, which we'll talk about, and B, it's marketed as a horror movie, which, you know, after I used to like them, I swear, but it's been a long time since I really have. Yes. I've gotten soft. I've gotten squeamish. I just can't. And so I was a little worried going into this. Like, I put off watching it. I was kind of dreading it because of my perception of what it was. And then it wasn't any of that. It wasn't super gory.
No.
Silence of the Lambs was harder for me to watch by far because of the realism of the violence. This was so hyper, excessive.
Yeah, I've heard the word camp attached to this movie. I don't think that's quite right.
It's close,
but it's close enough that if you are horror movie squeamish, I think this is one that and you avoided it. I think this is one that, you know, if you are interested in the conversation we have today, it would be worth going back and watching. I thought it was really fun. I'll start there.
I mean, it wasn't nearly as gory as Yellow Jackets.
No. Speaking of Yellow Jackets, we have to start there, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is not news. I know that it's technically news because it's finally been announced, but there's no way that they were getting a season 5.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
They barely got a season 4. So, but this is it. This is the last season coming up whenever they get to it.
Yeah. And the note from Bart and Ashley on, I feel like I never say Bart and Ashley. That sounds like a name. Barton Ashley. Ashley and Bart. If you don't follow Yellow Jackets on Instagram, I'll just share that is after 3 incredible seasons and great consideration, we're excited to announce that we'll be bringing the story of Yellow Jackets to its twisted conclusion in this 4th and final season. We've always known there would come a point when the story would tell us it wants to end, and it's our belief that our job, our responsibility is to listen. Telling this emotional, wild, and deeply human story has been a profoundly meaningful experience and a true honor for us, and we're so very grateful to the brilliant cast, crew, and writers who have bravely gone on the journey with us to bring it to life. Most of all, we want to thank the fans who have stuck with us through every moment, mystery, and meal. The Hive is nothing without you. We can't wait to share the final chapter with you and hope you find it delicious. All the best, A and B. And so, I mean, the internet immediately got annoying, on both sides of it.
I didn't pay any attention to it.
You're so much better at that than I am, other than your Reddit dalliances.
Yeah, which I've been off of for a while. I'm only really on there when Yellow Jackets is active or I need advice on refinishing a piece of furniture.
And I know that their original plan was 5 seasons, then things shifted, and people are going back and forth about whether or not this was really where they wanted it to end or not. Either way, just the way, you know, our conversation with Ashley and the way you and I have kind of seen this playing out, I really feel like there is a real opportunity for season 4 to end really strong and to still tell the story they were hoping to tell in 4 seasons. And if they can't, you know, maybe we don't get, so.
I mean, they wanted 5, but I also feel like when you start something, you have a completely different perception of how things are going to go and what's going to happen when. Everything shifts and changes as you make it. Yeah. So, I think to me, would I love to keep having new seasons of it to look forward to? Yes, but also I wouldn't want it to get dragged out because then it would take something that I really love and I find really fun and enjoyable and kind of turn it into a slog. And we've all had that happen with shows we like.
Exactly.
I don't want to have that happen with this.
No. And it just pacing wise, I just can, I'm not trying to predict what the show will be. I want it to be what they want it to be, but you can just kind of feel how a strong 4th season could really
I mean, we've talked about what we want. Like, I want them to be back home, like trying to reintegrate into society. I want to see the rescue, but then I want to be home.
That's my feeling is that's what
Me too.
We'll get, especially now that we know for sure we're only getting this 4th season.
Yes.
Like
they've got to cover that.
Yeah. And you can't open up new stuff in the woods, I don't think, at this point. We're so past that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
And timeline wise, we know that we were already like kind of very close to the rescue timeline. We were only a couple of months away.
What would they do? I mean,
they couldn't really do anything.
No, we left Natalie on a mountain listening to Aerosmith.
Yeah. No, we left her making contact. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing really left to do out there other than like maybe one last sort of battle of who wants to stay and who wants to go.
And Hannah's still alive at this point, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So we have to kill Hannah. Oh, whoa, that's a band. Speaking of 2000s emo,
we have to kill Hannah.
They were a little earlier than 2000, but yeah, they were
my God.
Like emo-ish. Emo, like, I don't want to get into what we call emo definition. It's different for a lot of people and depending on when and where and blah, blah, blah. But I will say they were a band from 1993 to 2015 from Chicago. And they were called Kill Hannah, which is a fun little segue into our very emo movie.
Good Lord. So... As we mentioned, neither of us had actually seen this movie. I watched it before you did. The very first scene of Megan Fox on the bed with the Fall Out Boy poster behind her, I was like...
Fucking finally, I've got
Andrea.
An excuse where it's relevant for me to bring up Fall Out Boy.
I mean, it's just a poster, but...
It's not just... It's... Okay.
I know. The whole movie hinges on an emo band. Yeah. Low Shoulder, which is actually an amazing fake band name.
It's a great fake band.
It's really good.
So let's start, because we don't know how horror movie, excited some folks are. Let's start with
plot summary.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll get into how it was actually marketed.
Right.
But the movie itself is about two best friends, two like long time since children best friends.
Yeah.
Needy, she's like the shyer of the two. Her best friend Jennifer is the like beautiful, she's not a cheerleader despite everything saying she's a cheerleader. She's in some kind of, it's not quite color guard.
It is color guard, I think.
I think it's like some sort of, I was actually looking into it because I was like, it's actually some sort of like flag corps or something.
Right.
Color guard is a little different, but it's color guard is way gayer than cheerleading. Like that's, so let's get that out of the way. But she's like, every boy loves her.
She's like a bombshell.
Yeah, exactly. Needy again is her shy best friend.
Needy is a really beautiful girl that they put glasses on. And made her hair look a little frizzy.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But she does have a boyfriend. He's like a little nerdy too.
Yeah.
But she does have a boyfriend.
I love they name him Chip. That's so perfect.
The names in this movie are so good.
Yeah.
They Jennifer hears about this emo band from out of town who's coming into their town is like really small, one horse. Like they go to the one kind of bar in town where this band Low Shoulder is playing. Something starts a fire in the bar. Everybody, like lots of people in the bar die. The band is trying to get Jennifer into their van for some reason. We know it's important that they think she's a virgin. They get her into the van. She leaves. Needy goes home. Jennifer shows up at her house, bruised, bloody, like covered in blood. We're not sure whose blood. She like eats a rotisserie chicken by hand.
Tries to.
She projectile vomits all over. She goes to, we think...
It's not really vomit, though. It's like black goo.
It's black goo, yeah. Needy describes it later as like prickly. And she goes to, we think, bite Needy. She can't. She leaves.
Right.
Then the rest of the movie is this band becoming more and more famous over all of the like trauma around this town. Jennifer eating boys and Needy trying to deal with that, and their relationship being strained and entangled and even more complicated throughout. It culminates at prom, basically.
Yeah, spring formal. But yeah.
Jennifer is like killing boys specifically who Needy has some connection to. That's not really like
it's not explicitly stated, but
that is
true.
What's going on.
Yeah.
And Needy can also sense Jennifer's like in a way because she drank a little bit of her blood when they were children. And Needy and Jennifer get into a big fight because Jennifer's going to kill Chip.
Yeah, Needy's boyfriend.
Yeah, she does kill Chip, but he comes in with a blow to Jennifer's body that like saves Needy enough. Like Jennifer runs off, whatever. Chip dies. Needy goes to Jennifer's home because she figures out, because she's a bookworm, and figures out that you have to the problem.
Well, she watched Buffy. She knew she has to go to the library.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that's important is, like I said, the band thinks she's a virgin. She's not.
Right.
Jennifer comes after all of this, I think, right? Or maybe before, whatever. At some point, Jennifer comes to confess to Needy what's been going on and tells her that the band, and then we see it in flashback, sacrificed her. They thought she was a virgin. It's really brutal. I think we should talk about that a little more in depth. But because she wasn't a virgin, as Needy has learned, the possession, the
demonic
the
forces
ritual,
or whatever.
Doesn't totally work. It works for the guys, but then also the demon possesses Jennifer. And that's why she's on this killing spree. She has to feed to stay, strong and beautiful and blah, blah, blah.
She turns into a succubus,
exactly.
Generally.
Yeah. And then she and Needy... these are two different scenes. It's funny that I've connected them. There is a scene where Needy and Jennifer make out. It's pretty clear that this has happened before. It's not because she says we could play boyfriend and girlfriend like we used to.
Yeah.
And then there is a scene that sort of mirrors it where they're fighting because Needy has come. She realizes she has to kill Jennifer. She does what they're pretty well matched actually. And the thing that gives Needy the upper hand is she pulls Jennifer's best friend necklace, her BFF necklace, off her neck, and Jennifer kind of stops fighting. They fall down. Needy stabs her through the heart. At that moment, my tit, your heart, perfect.
Yeah.
At that moment, Jennifer's mother walks in, so now it looks like Needy has been the one doing the murders. She goes to some sort of psychiatric hospital,
a prison psych hospital.
It's actually one of the opening shots is her because this movie is being told through flashback. She's narrating.
Well, I think we need to mention this is another voiceover movie.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot.
It's not Winona Ryder, but it's another voiceover movie.
It's another voiceover movie. It's another mental institution movie in a way. Yeah. And then
totally.
The movie is ostensibly over, except we learned that because Jennifer bit Needy in their fight, she absorbed and Needy survived. She took on some of her powers, and so the end of the movie is Needy levitating up to the window in her solitary room, breaking through the window,
kicking it out.
She kicks the window out and then walks through a fence in a way that leaves a Needy shaped hole in it.
It's so funny.
She is hitchhiking. She gets picked up. She tells, this is the Hannibal Lecter of it. It's so funny. She tells the guy who's driving her she's following some band and it's their last show.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's going to murder them.
Kill them. Yeah.
And then in a little bit of found footage kind of thing, which is also one of our...
Yeah, it was so interesting the way they filmed the end.
Yeah. It's through security cameras and camcorder.
And 90s flash disposable camera pictures.
Yeah. She goes and brutally murders Low Shoulder. Okay, that took longer than I thought it was going to, but I think that's okay because there's so much in this movie to unpack, and I think that gives us most of the main elements we need to get into, right? Is there anything I left out that...
I don't think so. To go back to the sort of making of so that we can talk through some of those things. So, okay, little backstory. Produced by Daniel Dubecki, Mason Novick, and Jason Reitman. Jason Reitman worked with Diablo Cody on a number of sort of films, including with his producing partner, Daniel, why can't I speak? Daniel Dubecki. They had an overall deal with Fox Searchlight, and basically they described their goal, this producing partner team, as wanting to make unusual films and anything that turns a genre on its ear. So obviously it makes sense that this was something they were interested in. Written by Diablo Cody, coming off of her Oscar for Juno. This was, I think, so part of the JSTOR article that I started reading talks a lot about how the image of the filmmaker as a personality became like overshadowed in a weird way the movie itself. So
it really was a perfect storm for this movie to not
absolutely
get the like treatment it deserved.
Yeah. So Diablo Cody became famous as a filmmaker for Juno, but before that had a number of blogs and a memoir called Candy Girl, A Year in the Life of an Unlikely Stripper. And so some of the sort of sexism that she had been treated with kind of just translated directly to this film. So yeah, she's coming off of Juno, and she says in interviews they kind of gave her carte blanche to make what she wanted, and this is what she wanted to make, was a genre horror film that took a sort of female gaze-ish perspective on it. After this, she ended up doing a movie called Young Adult, Ricky and the Flash, Tully, and Lisa Frankenstein. But what she's most known for, other than that, is the Showtime series United States of Terror with Toni Collette. I also didn't realize that she was a producer on One Mississippi, Tig Notaro's show on Amazon Prime, which I loved. The other thing that Diablo Cody has done recently is that I think she was a producer on... No, she wrote the book for the Alanis Morissette musical.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, really cool. And then in 2024, I think that was the last movie on the list that I mentioned was Lisa Frankenstein, which this is not my genre these days, but when I read the little 2-sentence plot synopsis, I was like, maybe I kind of want to watch that.
I haven't seen it yet because I didn't know it was a Diablo Cody movie. I haven't seen it yet because I'm so worried. I was so worried I wouldn't like it.
But listen to these 2 sentences.
Yeah.
The plot follows a misunderstood teenage girl, Lisa, who meets and develops a relationship with a reanimated Victorian-era corpse. Cody stated that Lisa Frankenstein is set in the same fictional universe as Jennifer's Body.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Cool.
So now I kind of want to watch it, even though it's not my vibe.
I mean, it's on my list of movies to watch. I just was cautious because I knew that I could love it and would be disappointed if I didn't. But now I feel much more encouraged to watch it.
Yeah. And so the JSTOR article that I was reading talks a lot about how this is presented as a two-hander almost with Karyn Kusama and Diablo Cody, but in the promotion, it was almost entirely Cody that was tied to it name-wise or name recognition-wise. And it's not that Karyn Kusama didn't already have a good reputation as a director, but the powers that be sort of didn't bother to really mention her.
Yeah, her name's not as there's like nothing
Diablo
sensational.
Cody had that's exactly the right word. Karyn Kusama made her film debut with something called Girl Fight, which I still have never seen, but
something called Girl Fight.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched it.
That is okay. This is so like as I get older, I'm like I need to revisit women in film who I didn't like and try to figure out if it was justified or if it was just some weird
internalized
kind of
misogyny.
I loved Girl Fight despite my intense dislike for Michelle Rodriguez.
Oh.
I think part of that is her character in Lost is terrible, but I didn't like her going into Lost. Now there's something in my head telling me that I ended up being justified in my general dislike for her. I could be wrong about that, so forgive me. But I think did she get arrested for a DUI while she was filming Lost, maybe?
I don't know, but I'm sure somebody did.
Yeah, she did. Anyway, all of that to say, Girl Fight rules.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I mean, I'm curious about it after reading a bit more, but apparently the reason that movie took Karyn so long to get put together was because she insisted that the main character was Latinx and not a vehicle for a white actress.
Cool.
So then she did Aeon Flux, which had Charlize Theron in it and a huge budget, and she got kind of bashed for it. Mm-hmm. The other thing I thought we should note about Karyn Kusama, she references her, like, where her love of filmmaking comes from. Mm-hmm. And it was the two female directors she name checks are Martha Coolidge and Amy Heckerling. And they quote in that article, they connect Martha Coolidge and Amy Heckerling specifically to Valley Girl and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But of course, Amy Heckerling to us, Clueless.
Clueless.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
Right. And Martha Coolidge, real genius.
What a lineage.
Yeah.
What a lineage. Pull out the red string.
Mm-hmm.
But the two of them together seemed like a really great connection, a really great pair. She said when she read the script, she loved the way that it balanced between humor and horror.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
I know. And she said it reminded her of other movies she loved, including The Howling and American Werewolf in London and Heathers. It was also significant that the screenwriter was a woman. So I think that everything that I've read about this movie is so tied to the biographies of the people involved that it's almost like there's a second text for the movie that is just Megan Fox's reputation, Diablo Cody's reputation, Karyn Kusama is this like genre female director. Like all of these things were such a part of the conversation even then that it's like the movie was not a movie. It was like just a way to have opinions about people you either like or don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about the cast, considering the Megan Fox of it all is like such a huge part of this?
Yeah.
I will say, I think the other reason that I never, made the effort to watch this movie is that, speaking of internalized misogyny, I think that like I am a sheep sometimes, especially when I was in my 20s. And I just was kind of like, oh, she's one of those like Maxim actresses where she's just like an airhead that just ends up on all these men's magazines. And like, that's what was fed to me. And it's definitely not who she is because I watched some interviews with her.
Yeah. And she sort of got lumped into, and this is unfair to the women I'm about to name too, because they are also products of the time. But for me all along, and what I read was that she sort of got like lumped into that party girl group of actors and like socialites and like the Paris Hilton,
and she
Lindsay
totally
Lohan,
wasn't.
Britney Spears. Yeah, no. And again, those girls that like we can set them aside. They also were treated unfairly, but they were out partying and doing all of that. And because she was also young and beautiful at the time, that's how she was kind of framed in a weird way too. And like she said, I never drank, like I don't party.
Yeah. Yeah. She talks a lot about how she, kind of has anxiety and is just, it's a little bit like, oh, poor, beautiful girl, but also like, it really did keep her from being taken seriously at all. In relationship to this movie, the important thing was the fact that right before this, she had been in Transformers and the follow-up to it and working with
Michael Bay.
I almost said Michael Mann. Working with Michael Bay. Yeah. And having a sort of very public disagreement with him about her treatment on set.
Yeah.
And he reacted extremely poorly. She also made a joke in very poor taste. She compared him to Hitler, essentially.
She said he wanted to be Hitler on set. And I was like, we'll link to everything as per usual, but I was reading something that was like, she said that and the quote was taken out of, no, I don't mean the quote was taken out of context. She did say that, but that was in a conversation about her saying that set didn't feel safe. And then shortly after, like somebody was really horrifically injured on that set due to his lack of running things safely. So she wasn't, but that was sort of like, totally overshadowed.
Well, and it was a typical pile-on of like, oh, pretty girl thinks that she has any power in the situation. Because basically, so one of the things I read said, on the surface, Fox was brought down by her attitude in a notorious interview in which she referred to Bay as Hitler on set. While any glib reference to Nazis and the Holocaust is surely in poor taste, Fox's words were hardly a high crime by Hollywood standards, particularly when dealing with a director happy to work with the likes of Mark Wahlberg.
That's a good point.
Right. And then this is what really pissed me off. So after this, he wrote like a letter and made it public about her and how she was to work with. And then 3 of his regular crew members wrote an open letter praising his work ethic and attacking her. And the letter made fun of her looks and her quote-unquote silly tattoos, called her everything from dumb as rock to Ms. Sour Pants and Ms. Princess to trailer trash posing like a porn star. And then they end it by saying, Megan really is a thankless, classless, graceless, and shall we say unfriendly bitch. And the wish that Bay will crush her character to death in a future Transformers installment. And he published that letter to his website.
So gross.
Yeah.
I heard there are rumors that he actually wrote the letter.
I will say I liked that. So what I found in my research around that story was that there was one crew member who, because the crew members weren't named, which is why people think maybe it was actually him, but there was one crew member that kept being asked about it by his friends, being like, were you a part of this? Who literally had to write an open letter, who was like, I think she's great. I thought she was really nice. She like signed autographs for people. She was cool to my niece. Like it was like a defense of her by one of the other crew members. So I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. And it seems like it's one of those things where it's like I haven't heard anybody else. She just seems like a little bit of an odd bird. You know what I mean? Like, you know, her whatever. But everything else that I've heard about her on sets and stuff has been totally fine. And like she and Diablo Cody, there's that really great interview with the two of them. I love that. Yeah. It's so good. And you can tell they have a lot of affection for each other.
And that they also both hadn't really talked about the effect that it had had on both of them, the reaction to this film. I think the reason that it's important to know all of that stuff about what was going on with Megan Fox, A, is because of how the movie was marketed because of who she was. And also, she talks in that same interview that you're talking about thinking of that scene of her being sacrificed as her relationship to the movie industry.
It's really
tough. Them just like, you know, killing her so that they can profit financially, you know,
right,
and it's not incorrect. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's so important that that sacrifice isn't really about them like getting like superpowers or anything like that. It's literally, it's like
they just want to be a successful emo band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can make a bunch of money. Like it's exactly that.
Yeah. Amanda Seyfried, whose name I finally learned how to pronounce for this podcast.
I've
said it wrong so many times. Yes, it's Seyfried.
Seyfried.
Yes, as Needy. I found out that...
I'm sorry, we need to be so clear.
Yeah.
Needy Lesnicki.
Yes. It's a great name.
Needy Anita Lesnicki.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So funny.
It is, I know. Did you know that Amanda Seyfried was born in Allentown, PA?
I did know that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that about her. She also was featured on the covers of 3 Sweet Valley High novels.
I didn't know that.
Which is a book series that I was very into when I was young.
Yeah, for sure. Hilarious.
But for our podcast, her importance is primarily, so far, has been Mean Girls. And have you watched Mamma Mia?
No, I have not.
It's just not my vibe, but like apparently that was what she was coming off of. And it was a huge hit. I mean, we're kind of in the minority of people that were like not into it. But yeah, so the idea of her going from Mamma Mia, which I just picture in my head her in like a flowy dress on a white building with a blue ocean behind her, to this is really quite a funny jump.
Yeah.
She also, of course, which we've talked about this before, but, you know, auditioned to be Veronica Mars and ended up being Lily Kane. Yeah,
that's most important for me, actually, is her role as Lily Kane.
This movie and the interviews that I watched about it have made me a bigger fan of Amanda Seyfried. I liked her already from Dropout, or not Dropout. What is it called? The Dropout? the show about the Dropout.
I was like, Dropout.
No, yeah, that's why I paused, because I was like, wait, no, that's a different thing. The Dropout, the movie about Elizabeth Holmes. I thought she was excellent in that. But like watching the interviews with her, she's very funny, she's very smart, and she is very excited to make another one of these at some point. She's like so into the idea. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, but that I'm sure I read the same article you did, is so fun. She's
ready.
Yeah, she's jazzed.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Other cast members that were notable, Johnny Simmons as Chip. I was like, where do I know him from? Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, that's the only thing that popped for me for him. He's also in, and there's no way I remember him this way other than in the deep recesses of my mind. He's Brad, who is a really important character, small but important character in The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And that book was one of my favorite books as a kid. But
again, a generational break for the two of us.
A movie I've only seen once or twice.
Yeah, I don't really know him from anything other than Scott Pilgrim, which is a movie that I watched because I think my male friends were obsessed with it, and I was like, okay,
fine,
guess I got to watch that. J.K. Simmons is not related to Johnny Simmons.
It took me a minute to realize that's who that was.
I know. His character is only in it like for maybe 2 or 3 scenes. The fact that he has an unexplained hook hand is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
And the way he talks about, like, I think it's cool considering knowing now too what you said about Lisa Frankenstein taking place in this world, that he has some sort of backstory that we never see that hints to this world being.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things about this movie that felt like if Buffy could have had an R rating. And so it feels like this is a world where these kinds of things could be happening all over the place.
100%. Yeah.
I think that's so smart. He's great in this.
He is. And his career is so fascinating to me because I first became like aware of him as a name because of the movie Whiplash, because he won Best Supporting Actor. But he also has been the yellow M&M, the voice of it since 1996. He was also on Robot Chicken for 7 years. And he was Dan the Barber in Pete and Pete.
I must have known that one at some point.
This man has a wild and very fun career.
He's one of those people who's just kind of chasing his dreams, you know?
Yeah. Abusive jazz instructor one day and, the yellow M&M the next.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating. What a cool...
He has layers like an onion.
like an onion.
I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. I also, speaking of things I love Amy Sedaris.
I know. She's another one who's got a backstory in this movie that we don't get to know much about, but clearly has some stuff going on.
Totally.
She's the best, though.
She is the best. I mean, Strangers with Candy was a big deal for me. Mm-hmm. And honestly, one of the things I like best about her is, have you ever seen interviews with her where she is in her apartment? Like they tour her Greenwich Village apartment.
Oh, I don't think so.
Is this like a specific niche of content that I get fed? I think it is. But she's very into crafting. Yeah,
she has that.
A book, yeah.
And a show.
Yes. At Home with Amy Sedaris. Mm-hmm. But there's if you want to feel really cozy and see some like old New York, there's an interview, it's like sort of a Architectural Digest style, like this is my home sort of thing, but it's Amy Sedaris, so it's weird as fuck.
God. It's
so good. It's so delightful. Like I don't think I could live in her apartment because it's too much stuff. I would get really overwhelmed, but it would be delightful to spend an afternoon there.
I love her so much. I learned about her first through David Sedaris writing about his weird sister Amy, who's been weird forever, and that makes me love her so much that she's like, I'm really in love with genuine weirdos who would be that way, and no matter what else they were doing.
Definitely a genuine weirdo.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and she's just one of those people that whenever she pops up in something, it's like she just steals it. She is my favorite kind of like side character in Broad City. She's
oh, that's right. What is she in Broad City?
She's the real estate agent who shows them that terrible apartment. It's like, where's the bathroom? Where isn't the bathroom?
Yeah.
And she also says, I was cyberbullied within an inch of my life last night. Which is something I've said like once a month since then. She's the best.
Absolutely the best. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Second City improv background. Mm-hmm. Worked with Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
On Strangers with Candy. Yeah, she's just a fucking delight. Mm-hmm. Like, as someone who has drawers and drawers of random craft supplies that they may never use again, I just really loved like seeing her appreciation for and unapologetic like love of dumb little things. She had a series on Instagram, I think during COVID, where every day she would post a video of her opening one drawer in this little cabinet that she has and finding out what was in it.
Fun.
And it would be like, you know, a rubber robot or like, you know, a bunch of tiny dice.
She's like a magpie, but she is weird stuff more than shiny stuff.
A magpie.
I get that.
Yeah.
She's also in an episode, I'll have you know, of Dr. Odyssey. So,
funny.
I guess we're gonna have to, you know, eventually watch every single episode.
Let's see if you can make me do it. And then, of course, we have Adam Brody. As I don't even know what his name is in this. He's the singer of Low Shoulder.
Oh, Jodie. He's another perfect.
Oh, it's Nikolai, right?
Nikolai Wolf.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't think I even noticed that. Yeah. So just a quick note on I think it's his Wikipedia. One of the very first things it says is not to be confused with Adrian Brody. Who is confusing Adam Brody and Adrian Brody?
Does that happen a lot?
There could not be more different. I mean, they're both white men.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Mm-hmm. His first TV role was a recurring role in Gilmore Girls, but to me, I know him mostly from The OC originally.
Show I never watched, weirdly.
Yeah, I did, but it was one of those like, I feel like I'm too old to be watching this. It just was like, I think because we've talked about my relationship to like 90210 and all of those like nighttime soap opera things, I was like, oh, this is another one. But it felt very like, I don't know. These people are too young for me to really care.
That makes sense.
We do have a Jersey connection, though.
Oh, what did you find?
In 2010, he was in Kevin Smith's film Cop Out.
I've never seen that.
Neither have I. It's the only film Smith ever directed but didn't write.
Interesting. Okay.
And guess who else is in it?
Who?
Bruce Willis.
Oh, beautiful Jersey connection. Okay, so I guess, you know, eventually we'll have to watch that.
That movie's brief plot description is the film stars Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan as veteran NYPD detectives who become entangled in a case involving a stolen rare baseball card, which leads them into conflict with a memorabilia-obsessed gangster.
Hilarious. Okay.
Yeah. The supporting cast includes Adam Brody, Kevin Pollak, Guillermo Diaz, and Seann William Scott. Anyone else in the cast we should cover?
Yeah, just quickly, we need to talk about Kyle Gallner, who plays Colin Gray, the like emo kid. He specifically is he's been in a bunch of stuff, but he's a like pretty important character in Veronica Mars. He plays Beaver, who's one of the Casablanca.
Yeah. I think I knew that.
Yeah, he's Beaver Casablancas, is one of the like...
What a name.
I know. His real name is Cassidy. And also he was born in Westchester, PA, so that's not Jersey, but close enough for me.
He had real like Billy Joe vibes.
Total, yeah. He's trying really hard to be that kind of guy. So
this movie also really made me realize how much I kind of just skipped the emo phase. Like, I listened to the music that would come on the radio stations that I listened to, and I liked it, but I was not a fan.
I was just the right age to be at the forefront of it. And so the thing that's so funny that, like, not to get too into it, but this movie's 2009.
Yeah.
And like this, again, like people get so annoying about the word emo and what they mean by it. But the emo that this, the kind of like emo that this movie is interested in, really started in like the early 2000s, I would say. late
Educate
90s.
me. I don't know any of this.
So like bands like, if you want a real deep dive on it, you could listen to either there's a really, first of all, if you want a deep dive on it, there's a really great book called Where Are Your Boys Tonight? The Oral History of Emo's Mainstream Explosion, 1999 to 2008. By Chris Payne. And I interviewed him on Left of the Dial, an old podcast I used to do. And then Chris Gethard and I interviewed him from a Jersey angle on New Jersey is the World. So if you are interested in this, like that book is fantastic. It's an oral history. And then also you can get a kind of snapshot. But it really started with bands like in this era, bands like the Get Up Kids, Jimmy Eat World. What really pushed it into the mainstream is unequivocally Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance-ish, and Panic at the Disco. But what happened was Fall Out Boy got on TRL just from their fans being so obsessed. And there's nobody can argue with me there. That's just how it really burst onto the scene.
I believe that.
Fall Out Boy was past making music that sounded like what we consider like this sound. By 2009, in fact, they were on hiatus. They took a break that we thought was kind of marked the end of this era in 2009. So it's hard to say if this movie is it's a little outdated.
But also it takes a long time to make a movie. And so, when it was written, it was probably...
Well, but I wonder because it's like this town isn't cool. And they think this band is really cool. And there's something about does the movie know that it's a little past? Because even by 2007 or so, again, Chris Payne calls the end of it 2008. It would have been past. And so I wonder, there's two ways. It's one, it's just like you said, movies take a long time. But there's also the possibility that it's equally absurd that this poor girl dies for something that nobody thinks is cool anymore, really. And the reason that they have to be, which they kind of say, is that this scene is already so oversaturated.
Yeah. The only reason I would say that might not be the case is because with this song that they, dedicate to, they become huge, theoretically, according to the movie, they become huge across the country.
But isn't that because of the Satan of it all, and the grief of
sure,
them cashing
they were portrayed
in on
as heroes too, that they saved people.
Because the song isn't great, and I don't think the movie thinks it's great. But then also, is it just Diablo Cody and Karyn Kusama are older than I am, and I was old that's right at the front of it.
Yeah. That's why I think it's probably not actually a commentary on that. It's probably just people that were a little too old for that, being kids like emo. Let's let's talk about it.
Yeah. By 2009, I was 23 years old.
Yeah.
So I would,
Yeah.
Again, Fall Out Boy's still my favorite band, but they're old and so am I.
One thing that kind of shocked me about this movie. So are we done with the cast? I don't want to jump over
We're done with the cast. I was just going to say, don't worry, everybody. We're going to get into more of the music and the soundtrack at the end.
Oh, yeah, of course we are. You're on this podcast. You're half of it.
Don't worry, everybody.
And I will sit here and be like, that's so interesting. But so talking about sort of the production side of things, I just want to highlight, as someone who currently lives in the state of Rhode Island, one of the earliest scenes, the scene of the fire at the bar, was a little shocking to me, only because in 2003, there was a horrific nightclub fire in West Warwick, Rhode Island, that killed 100 people. And it was it was a fire that started from a pyrotechnic display, that it was the deadliest firework incident in U.S. history and the fourth deadliest nightclub fire in U.S. history.
Yeah.
It was a huge fucking deal. And it was 6 years before this movie came out. So it's closer than 9/11. The fact that they just kind of didn't think about that, or I guess maybe they were, I don't know, maybe they were referencing it, but it was sort of because I didn't know anything really about the plot of the movie going into it, I was like, oh my God, are they like specifically referencing the station fire? Like,
well, and so this is how you know that you're a local. Listeners are 100%, if you're our age or right around, you know this. This is the Great White Fire. The band is Great White.
Yeah.
It has a Jersey connection too. Like kind of famously, they were on like this tour. They had played
the
Stone Pony like pretty much right before. Because what is the date of February 20th is and I think February 13th. I'm
14th.
saying I think I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
They had played the Stone Pony in Asbury Park, and Dominic Santana, who was the owner, I don't think still is, right? It doesn't matter. Said that like they'd use pyrotechnics there without permission, and that their contract did not mention pyrotechnics.
Yeah, and after the Rhode Island fire, there was a lot of back and forth about whether or not they had had permission or had been told they couldn't use them at the station.
But yeah, based on what we learned from the Stone Pony, it sounds like
they didn't care.
No. Awful.
Yeah, and it kind of took me out of the movie for a minute, which is not the movie's fault, but it was just like all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, like the station fire, like this feels, because she leaves, like they get out and, you know, Jennifer goes off with the guys in the van and she comes home and she's having an actual human response to this event where like people were trampled to death, and it's just like it moves on pretty quickly and everyone else is like, whatever. And like in the school, when J.K. Simmons as the French teacher, whose name I have forgotten, is playing the role that we've seen in so many of these teen movies of the concerned teacher who's like offering like grieving counseling and all of that. It was like, we've seen it in Heathers. We've seen it in so many other movies. It really felt like a weird note to me, only because of the connection to the station fire, where it was like, it seemed like she was the only one having a real reaction to it, even though the school was having a Heather's reaction.
Yes. And she's having
and she was having a human reaction.
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
She is very, she is so much more real in this movie than everybody else, in a way that is like, it's not that it feels like, you know, sometimes we're like this person, like, last week saying that it felt like Cate Blanchett was in like coming into a totally different movie in a way that is like fun but a little odd. It doesn't feel like it's a actor choice, like a weird, it doesn't feel out of place that she feels out of place. Like there's like something.
Well, we're seeing it through her perspective too.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah.
It's a little bit of the like, you're your own main character.
That's
you know?
true. Mm-hmm.
Like we're seeing it through her eyes, so we are seeing her as more of a real person than everyone else as projection.
Yeah, and in the way we've talked about Yellow Jackets, not just through her eyes, but it's a little bit like Frankenstein too. It's being told in hindsight. It's not like a journal entry, but it's basically like, you know, we could be reading her journal. So it's not just through her eyes, but like literally through her memory.
Yeah.
Which,
because it's a flashback from seeing her later on in the institution. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because anyone else that's like from this area, which I'm not, but I've been here a long time, like that is a huge moment in the history of like contemporary life in this state. A few other things about the production before I think we're going to have to talk about the marketing a bit. It had a budget of $16 million, made $32 million, which isn't really enough for it to be profitable overall, even though technically that's a profit. The stat I read was that studios typically have to make about 2.5 times their budget for it to turn a profit. And its Rotten Tomatoes ranking, depending on when you looked, is between like 35 and 40 something percent.
So wild.
Yeah. Side note, I mentioned this earlier, but Devil's Kettle being a real place in a state park in Minnesota, I kind of want to go now.
Tell me
I love
about
a weird, like, you know, water feature, rock formation mystery. Yeah, so it's a state park on the shore of Lake Superior, and the park is Judge C.R. Magny State Park. And it's best known for Devil's Kettle, the unusual waterfall and rock formation in which half of the Brule River disappears into a pothole and, as studies in 2017 showed, reemerges underground downstream. But for decades, no satisfactory geological explanation was offered for the Devil's Kettle phenomenon, and it was a popular regional mystery. So
cool.
If you're a Spooky Lake Month person on TikTok, I'm sure that she has done Devil's Kettle. Side note, onto my side note, Spooky Lake Month lady on TikTok recently did Action Park.
Ooh.
And the comments, like, she has a rating, like, 5 out of 10 spookies or whatever for how spooky it is. And 1 million people in the comments were like, this is the worst and most horrific, disastrous place you've ever covered. And I'm like, this is my childhood. What are you talking about?
But do you feel a little proud?
I do. She was talking about, like, the teeth embedded in the slide. And everyone's, like, losing their minds. Meanwhile, the one that she did the day after, which was yesterday, was about a, like, mud flat in Alaska that people just get sucked into and drown to death because the tide comes in so fast. And I'm like, you're more horrified by the theme park that I grew up going to? Like, yeah.
It was just, like, a fun way for me to spend the weekend?
Yeah. Yeah. Spooky Lake Month lady. Appreciate you. October is Spooky Lake Month. That's why it's come up recently.
Got it.
Naturally.
I love it.
Yeah. So I do love, like, a weird natural phenomenon that is unexplained for a long time, which is apparently what this was.
I love that. That's very cool.
Should we go talk about the marketing a little bit? I mean, this is the thing that's been the most covered. So I think it's probably, we should talk about it, but I don't think it's, like, the most fascinating part of this. It's just a fact of the case, which is that they marketed it to the wrong audience. They marketed it to teenage boys that had seen her, Megan Fox in Transformers.
And it is not a movie for teenage boys. And the thing that is sort of fascinating to me about it is that then even the people who reviewed it through that lens, even though watching the movie, it's so obviously not that, but it is interesting to see how conversation can shape how we receive something like a movie, but any kind of cultural text.
Because it was all of the marketing is the other thing. It was the trailers that they released. It was the poster. It was everything that was, like, the taglines for the posters were all about how, like, she was this sexy, dangerous thing. And, like, it just didn't at all, like, Amanda Seyfried's character is our POV character, and she is not, you would never know she was even in the movie.
I know. It's so crazy.
Like, I do like to imagine, like, if they had marketed this as a Heather style subversive female friendship, like, type of movie, like, would it have actually done better?
I mean,
I think it would have.
I don't see it.
Yeah, like, I certainly discounted it because of the marketing.
I don't know that it would have done better because nobody cares about, like,
because sexism,
right? But I think it would have found its audience much sooner.
Yeah, because it has in the last probably 5 to 10 years had a resurgence in, like, critical consensus that it was better than it was made out to be, and that it had a different purpose than it seemed to.
Yeah. And like I said to you as I was watching, or after I watched it, like, I thought even now that what happened with this movie was, it was marketed incorrectly. And what it really is like cheesy, fun, accidental camp, so bad it's good, so we love it. And that's not it. Like, there's some of that going on
Definitely
there.
Some of that.
But it knows what it's doing. It's not accidental. And it's not so bad it's good. I think it's just, for the most part, good. Like, it's got some, there's some things about it that are difficult.
The most ableist movie, like, we've talked about how the R word shows up in a lot of movies from this time period, but good God, every 5 minutes was a little much. Yeah, but it is, I mean, the marketing was a big part of it. Like, the focus groups were young teenage boys. Like, the poster is her in a schoolgirl outfit that she doesn't even wear in the movie. The clips from the trailer were all, like, every mildly sexual moment where it's, like, packed into it. It was just packaged in a very, very specific way.
Right. Which is, like, so disheartening, but also unsurprising that the thing the film is most interested in interrogating is the thing that, like, ruined any chance it had of being successful in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's a real bummer.
I think it's also the fact that, so it was that combined with the fact that there's nothing we like more than to take down someone who's at the height of their powers, right? And Diablo Cody had just, exploded for Juno. She was an outspoken woman, feminist, like, character. She was turning herself into like a notoriety. Like she was a celebrity herself.
Right.
And so we don't like people to, we
don't like women to be
successful and celebrate being successful. And so, and any person's sort of second movie after a huge first one, people are waiting for like it not to be as good. So there was definitely like a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, oh, well, and Karyn Kusama had done Aeon Flux, which had been panned. And so there was definitely already a consensus going in like, oh, let's see what this is going to be, But yeah, it did not have good reviews, let's just say. It was rough reading these.
Yeah. Do you want to start with Ebert? Because like you said, his is an interesting one, and you can take the lead on this if you want, because as you said, it is a little more positive than I was expecting. But even that shows how even somebody who didn't really hate it still kind of missed the point, missed what it was.
Yeah. And like, just to jump back for a quick second to the anticipation of a film from Diablo Cody, there's Constance Grady, who we've quoted before from Vox, who does really great sort of reconsiderations of movies from this time. She wrote that it had the misfortune to premiere in 2009, right at the height of simultaneous cultural backlash to Diablo Cody and Megan Fox. In 2009, fresh off her Oscar win for Juno's screenplay, Cody was considered a gimmicky one-hit wonder who was way too precious with her made-up slang, and Fox was considered a vapid Maxim cover girl, best qualified to wash a car in a bikini in the Transformers movies.
There we go.
That says it better than I said it before, so I just wanted to read that. But yeah, the reviews were... like, weirdly, Roger Ebert's being the most positive. He gave it 3 out of 4 stars, which, considering all the other horrible reviews, is actually kind of shocking. But then the very first line, just what we were waiting for, Twilight for boys.
This is what I mean. That's how it was marketed. But if you watch this movie, it's not what it is. And
Hey, Roger. The point's over there. You missed it.
Like, fully.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what you walked into this movie thinking, and you have a brain cell in your head, what you should say is, interesting, this movie was marketed as Twilight for boys, but it's not.
Yeah. He also, in this review, does not bother to do much research about the film, because he does say, talking about Jennifer, she's your classic teen queen who rules the school. Then he says... but then she's transformed into, not a vampire exactly, although she does go after throats with bared teeth. She's some kind of demon or monster, sort of undefined, whose mission in life becomes attacking teenage boys. She's a succubus, Roger.
Have you never, like...
Did I call him Robert before? Probably. Well, I don't care. She's a succubus. It's in the movie.
She's so clearly a succubus.
You don't even need to do the research.
He also says, like, Needy.
Needy goes to the library.
When he says, surely that's her nickname... Yeah, her name's Anita.
I know.
Did you watch the movie?
Yeah. Apparently he did not watch it very closely.
Well, and he also said, like everybody else, I can't express enough how important it is. She is not a cheerleader.
No. And that's such a specific type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody I knew in Color Guard was queer.
And yet he gave it 3 out of 4 stars. And after all of this missing the point, all these paragraphs where he's like saying things that either aren't true or are answered in the movie, he says, it's easy to go on like this, but I'd be missing something. There is within Diablo Cody the soul of an artist, and her screenplay brings to this material a certain edge, a kind of gleeful relish that's uncompromising. This isn't your assembly line teen horror thriller. The portraits of Jennifer and Needy are a little too knowing. The dialogue is a little too off-center. The developments are a little too quirky. After you've seen enough teen thrillers, you begin to appreciate these distinctions. He says, let's put it this way. I'd rather see Jennifer's body again than Twilight. Yeah, great compliment there, Roger.
God.
And he, again, is bringing in Megan Fox's personal life into this. Like, it's really... why is this a part of it? Megan Fox is an interesting case. We think of her as a star, but this is not her first leading role. She didn't get to number 18 on Maxim's hot list for acting. Like, oh my God.
This is what I mean about, though, the difficulty of this is that... So, I loved this movie. What is happening with this movie, though, I think, is that the pendulum has swung so far in the other direction that it's hard to find a measured critique that... And that's not totally true. There's like, where you do find it is in more like critical scholarship. But this movie sort of, this is a very different movie if the person playing playing Jennifer is anybody other than Megan Fox. Because the fact of it being Megan Fox, it's sort of the way we talked about Jude Law last week. Like, you need somebody who it is believable, right, that would be this person. And the movie is, or at least try to, because it didn't really work because it was a flop, but is using Megan Fox's body. It's called Jennifer's Body. Jennifer is Megan Fox.
Yeah.
To sell the movie. And that's totally one of the things that is always difficult about any sort of like feminist piece of, like, you know, any sort of feminist artifact, whatever, that is interrogating the patriarchy by, like,
you need to read the article that I was reading.
By, like, claiming the, like, sex or...
Repeat to remake Diablo Cody and Karyn Kusama's Jennifer's Body is the article that I ended up reading from JSTOR, and it's talking about this exact thing. It's talking about the difficulty of using a form that has been this avenue for, like, overt sexism for all this time and using it to comment on that, but reproducing some of the same things.
Right. Well, and it's almost impossible not to, when that, like, one of the problems is that, like, the ability for a woman to assert dominance, control, power outside of these tools is, like, what else could you do?
Yeah. So apologies to the people that don't like me reading from academic sources, but, you know, maybe this isn't the right podcast. So I just have to read this because it's exactly what you're talking about. So it's talking about the negative reviews of the film that were, like, largely hostile. And it says, notably, the issue of representation of the monstrous female body, you need to read this article, prevailed in almost all the negative reviews of the film. According to Heidi Martinuzzi, horror fan, writer, and co-founder of Pretty Scary, the website for women in horror, quote, the main character is seducing men and killing them. It's a classic example of men not being able to trust women or the vagina. It's a modern adaptation of a succubus or siren. And so she says that this is presupposing that the representation as monstrous can never be politically progressive, being necessarily a product as well as a tool of patriarchal misogynist discourse. Codifying female sexuality as evil utterly erases Cody and Kusama's feminist intentions, which were supposed to distinguish their work from other similar productions. Mm-hmm. Now, that's one take on it, one opinion on it, but that's the line that you're trying to walk when you are doing something like this, where you are appropriating a genre, or not appropriating, but working within a genre with a critique of the genre in your work.
Right. Yeah. And so it is complicated, right? Like, what else? Yeah.
There's one other quote in this that it really kind of nails this down by a fan fiction author, Scarlet Scribe, who says, quote, feminist A might say, Jennifer has to rely on men for her continued well-being and becomes ugly when she doesn't. How can a woman relying on a man be construed as feminist? Feminist B might say, Jennifer eats boys to remain the woman she wants to be. It's about time a woman uses a man for her purposes. How can that not be feminist? And so you kind of see the, like, back and forth about it.
And I think, that's what makes any, like, I don't like I would be much less interested in this movie if it were more clear cut than that.
I think it's also important to hear Diablo Cody's actual thoughts on what she's trying to do here and not just assume that, because she talks about it as she says, I don't want to write a modern horror movie. I wanted to write a classic horror movie. I wanted the whole vibe to be 1983. And I think that that's a very specific angle that she's taking.
Yeah, I think that's right. Just to like add a little more evidence that can be, I think you can kind of look either way. You know, this movie opens with, other than the Fall Out Boy poster, this movie opens with Needy already behind whatever bars she's behind, already locked away. And it's billed as a revenge movie. And the whole time I'm watching this movie, in my head, I'm like, oh, well, we know Needy ends up locked away, which is a bummer, right? Like, that feels... And Jennifer doesn't get revenge on Low Shoulder. The boys that she's eating haven't really done anything to her and are generally pretty innocuous. Chip's a good guy. That football player's kind of a doofus, but yeah, he's not, you know.
They're like the guys in Yellow Jackets. They're dumb and they're like maybe a little harmful in the ways they're dumb, but they're not evil.
Right. And so she's not getting revenge on those boys. What she is getting revenge on is, I guess, the patriarchy more broadly. But it's not until, and then it's, again, Jennifer who is murdered, and it's not hard to draw the line that this is a stand-in for rape. And then it's Needy who has to kill Jennifer. So Jennifer suffers because of what these men did to her. These more innocent boys suffer because of what these men, you know, because patriarchy hurts everybody, even men. And then it's not until Needy, who only has the ability to, like, she takes on what Jennifer suffered from to then finally get the revenge. But the whole time you're watching the movie, you don't know Needy is going to break out at the end, right? Like, there's something, so even that I think you can hold up on either side of that argument.
Yeah. Well, and when she's talking about this whole thing, she's saying, like, the tricky thing about doing what they're doing is that if you're going to subvert those tropes, like genre and gender, they have to include the tropes themselves.
Right.
And she says, we were constantly bobbing and weaving. Karyn and I talk about the film as kind of a Trojan horse. We wanted to package our beliefs in a way that's appealing to the mainstream audience. So basically, she's saying that you have to include some of the original misogynistic tropes in order to comment on them. But, like, you know, that's, again, it's not... like, entire academic papers have been written on this, and I'm not going to sum it up in like 4 sentences, but I do think that it's interesting that this is what they're trying to do. This is how it was received, and then now it's being reconsidered. And I think you're right in that, like, the modern reconsiderations are elevating it to this status of this, like, camp classic, you know, cult movie that maybe are a little over the top compared to what the movie actually is. I'm really glad I did not do any research beforehand, because I got to enjoy it without insane expectations. My expectations were quite low, and I had a really good time.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed it. I mean, the negative reviews are brutal and often are focused on, like, tearing apart the creators and not talking about the movie itself.
Yes, so much of that.
And so... the one that you were bringing up was from an article that was talking about the misogyny throughout the reviews. And one of which said, and I think this is what you were referring to, I assume that the decision to avoid nudity is Kusama's. One could assume based on her past that Cody has no problem with nudity, referencing Cody's history as a stripper. And then the other one was that from the same review, if you're in search for a way to ogle Megan Fox's body, or ogle Megan Fox's body, there are a lot better ways to do it than subjecting yourself to this. Yeah. And there's tons of those.
What good, like, what do you think? It's that thing of, like, just wanting to be in the right club of, like, oh, we all hate this movie and I need to hate it enough to be... Do you know what I mean? Like, to be part of that, because you don't nobody wants to be left out.
Yeah, the review in the LA Times said that the movie was self-conscious splatter over a sorely lackluster scare flick, while Karyn Kusama was able to generate an old-fashioned same-sexploitative zing. Unfortunately, she can't muster up a modicum of suspense elsewhere.
It's also, like, that too, pretend, like, watching this movie and thinking that the relationship between Needy and Jennifer has anything to do with the men watching this movie is like, so funny to me.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, like, a lot of the good writing that I have found about this movie is in queer media, where they're talking about the reason that it resonates specifically with queer people is because of that specific type of friendship. Right.
Right. Everyone knows that Diablo Cody used to be a stripper, but not only were there no boobs in this movie, there also weren't any skanky asses or even that much cleavage.
Oh, how lovely. Yeah. So this article that I am thinking of when I'm talking about better analysis of it. So the Michigan Daily wrote a lot about this movie over the years. I don't know who, and it's all different writers too. I thought maybe it was one writer that just had an obsession.
Really?
But the article is called "A Queer Girl's Guide to Jennifer's Body," and the quote from it that you're making me think of is, "Horror aside, my own experiences with queerness feel more similar to the intense friendship between Needy and Jennifer than other pieces of media representing relatively realistic teenage love." She says, "I mourn the absence of teenage fantasies and discoveries. I wonder how different life would have been if those years were full of young and clumsy loves rather than the deeply repressed and yet somehow mutually obsessive, borderline humiliating, intense friendships I had with girls in my same position." That is what, like, certain audiences that are rediscovering this movie and obsessing over it now are reacting to.
That's right. Yeah. And it like, it's so clear. There are so many, like, the fact again that the only boys Jennifer eats are ones that have, again, Colin and Chip are the most obvious, but even the football player and the student from India, like, the first time we encounter them is through Needy saying something
nice about them.
Like, Jennifer can't take her having, like, anybody having Needy's attention. And that's the other thing too. We keep saying Jennifer, that she is, like, the way they talk about her being possessed by a demon, but it's also she's a succubus, is a little confusing, because if she's a succubus, it's Jennifer's motivation, right? But what it is, I think, is demonizing literally her, like, takes her desire and makes it monstrous, not like, and so it's, what Jennifer probably has wanted to do all along. It's why, like, Chip says, "Don't kidnap my girlfriend," and that's before she's turned into a demon. Like, it's all in there. They have, like, Needy drinks her blood, and now they have a heightened connection where she can, and the two most most clear sex scenes, like, the ones we spend the most time on, mirror each other.
Yeah.
That's not an accident, and it's not necessarily only, I should say, it's not only to contrast the kinds of sex the two girls are having.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, it's to show their connection. And it's funny, like, so this same article from Michigan Daily says, "The main issue critics took with Jennifer's Body was that it wasn't scary enough to be an effective horror movie." By the way, that's what I appreciated about it. But she says, "Now, it's not that the critics were wrong per se, just that I think they might have misunderstood the movie's intentions. The movie never intended to frighten with jump scares or monster makeup. Jennifer's Body was about the visceral, heart-pounding brutality with which teenage girls tear themselves and each other apart. All bared teeth, sharp smiles, and the awful emptiness of wanting everything so very deeply and far, far too much." That could be a blurb about Yellow Jackets.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
the same thing.
Yes.
I do think one thing that we would be remiss if we didn't mention in the context of the reconsideration of this movie is that it coincided, or, not coincided with, but maybe was connected to the Me Too movement in 2018. Because it's about that time when people started talking about it as a movie that had been mischaracterized,
right,
or misunderstood.
Especially because, like, not to, I don't know, get too whatever about it, but again, the fact that, like, Jennifer has to die for the crime, the way that, like, I'm drawing really, putting a really fine point on this, but, like, how many actresses careers were ruined because they were assaulted. Like,
I don't think you're putting too fine a point on it. I mean, that's part of it's part of the connection that Megan Fox and Diablo Cody are making in that interview that we started with. Like, they are connecting, maybe not as directly as that, but they're definitely connecting the real world experiences of the women that made the movie with the characters in the movie.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think so. There's also, just if we're talking about like real things going on in the background that influence this movie, like I said to you, I can't stop thinking about how, like, post 9/11 this
brings up 9/11 a lot for a movie that came out 8 years afterwards.
Yeah, and I keep that's the thing that is curious to me. I guess it's the hindsight of it that we had a little more distance from, because this movie is so much about commodification of grief. And maybe it was a little too soon to be able to talk about the fact that American flags were sold out for, everywhere for years. And, got to remember freedom fries and all of the ways that patriotism became something you could buy and sell. And so putting us in that sort of, we're drawing that parallel of like, this is what's happening in this movie, is this band is
co-opting like a tragedy. And
but it's one that we have, like, this movie isn't fantasy in, like, we've done it. We did it on a national level just a few years before.
Right. I do feel like it felt very out of place to me, but that could be hindsight.
Yeah. That's what and two, also it, like, 8 years later feels like a lot now. But we were still kind of in the thick of, right? Like, well,
we were in the Iraq War.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it took quite a while to really ramp up. So, like, I do wonder if that's part of it.
Yeah, I think thinking about the time period is interesting. And then thinking about, in contrast, the time period when its reconsideration started to happen. Emily St. James, of course, has written about this for Vox. And she brings up the Christine Blasey Ford testimony about Brett Kavanaugh and his friends, which also for me was like a very difficult thing to listen to, and how she's talking about the laughter when they allegedly assaulted her. And she says, Jennifer's pain is funny to these men. For them, it's a lark, but for her, it's a moment of trauma that's going to change her forever.
Yeah, they're singing.
Yeah, like a silly 80s song.
Jenny, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that sort of laughter piece of it, I think, is like, it's what makes that scene super dark. And it's also, I think, why it might have had some sort of resonance in that specific time frame when we were talking about this more.
Right.
This is the best, actually, from that article, the best description of it. She says, in a post-Me Too world, the implications of this storyline look uncomfortably familiar. It's the story of a group of powerful men sacrificing a girl's body on the altar of their own professional advancement. And it's also the story of them using her torment as a bonding activity.
That's right.
Emily St. James, man. Always read her. Always worth it.
And fuck anybody for, like, dismissing this movie out of hand. Because, like, when... That scene is really tough to watch.
It is.
Not
it really
even
is.
like you don't even have to be that, like, plugged into these conversations to not see what's going on there.
Because of the sort of joyful masochism of it, We should get to the soundtrack.
I don't have a ton to say about it. I'll talk for a minute about the soundtrack. I mean, I could talk about it forever, but we'll talk a little bit for a minute about the soundtrack and about Low Shoulder and Through the Trees. Let's talk about Through the Trees, since that's in the movie and the soundtrack is a little more extra texture. I mean, it's in the movie too, but Low Shoulder, most of the people in the band on screen are from a band called Test Your Reflexes. I read somewhere that their name was originally Low Shoulder and that's where it came from, but I only saw that in one place, so I think maybe that was somebody getting confused. Low Shoulder, the band, obviously Adam Brody is like a sort of, I think, or I thought going into it and have had this confirmed, a sort of Brennan Flowers from The Killers meets Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy. And those two had beef. We could talk about that. We won't, but I could. But it's interesting.
It's for your Fall Out Boy podcast.
And the Killers, someday. Exactly. And the Killers aren't an emo band and wouldn't call themselves that, but they're from that era. It's more the like indie, sensitive, but also
And sorry, not to interrupt,
no,
but I think it's also very clearly making the point that those like sensitive, in quotation marks, bands were as misogynistic, if not more so, than some of the more overtly misogynistic.
Yeah, exactly. And like Fall Out Boy, again, my favorite band, but their first album, like, let's play this game called When You Catch Fire, I Wouldn't Piss to Put You Out. That's a line.
Lovely.
And there was like rumor that Pete Wentz was going to play the Adam Brody part in this movie. And Diablo Cody said, like, yeah, but I think they went on some like world tour. He was in like right before, which would have been the case. Fully Idea comes out at the end of 2008, so that's sort of, and is again right before their hiatus. So that's not surprising. But it is funny that a movie that is really pushing against these sort of men would then seek to
try to cast one of them.
I think that's kind of smart. And they do it with the soundtrack. The soundtrack is full of them. But all that to say, Adam Brody is playing the lead. He also makes a lot of sense because if you know anything about Adam Brody, it's that he plays Seth Cohen on the OC, who was into all of this music, a big Death Cab for Cutie fan. I read a quote that said more people want to talk to him about Death Cab than Low Shoulder. But so Test Your Reflexes, somebody at Amy Driscoll Dunning, who was head of Fox Searchlight, the production studio at the time when Jennifer's Body was made, was a fan of their album that had just come out. And when they put out a call for a song that would be Through the Trees, she suggested that Ryan Levine, who's in the movie and is the lead singer for Test Your Reflexes, submit a song. And so Cody gave them the opening line. They filled it out. It's him and two of the other people in the band are in the band. And then also Adam Brody and a couple of other actors for the more dialogue heavy parts. But he said, like, I sort of understood what a big anthemic chorus is supposed to feel like. He seems really proud of the song, so I don't want to talk too much shit. Like, he took it pretty seriously.
I mean, it does read as like it could have been sort of a cheesier hit song from that time period. Like, not necessarily great, but you can see it catching on.
It just feels a little toothless or like empty, right?
Yeah.
And then so that's the long and the short of that.
I just saw that there's an article on Billboard called from 2019, The Story of Low Shoulder from Jennifer's Body, the funniest and most disturbing fictional indie rock band ever.
That's right. Yeah. In that article, Kusama says, I think it completely serves its purpose, which is that we believe that the characters both remember the song instantaneously after hearing it one time, and that the town would elevate it to a hit. And we believe that a character like Needy would just feel like insane from how frequently they're playing the song. So, and I think, totally. That's like definitely what it's doing there. Both Cody and Kusama say they saw themselves in Jennifer and Needy having grown up as fanatic concert goers and followers of bands. And this is Kusama. I spent time kind of following the Replacements and hanging out waiting for Soul Asylum to get back into their crappy van.
Oh my God.
So
I mean, as someone who did the same thing with like local bands, like, and almost married a musician, like there was a big cringe moment for me when Megan Fox, Jennifer, is like watching them on stage and you're seeing them be this like kind of cheesy band playing in a small town bar and she's idolizing them. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been her.
100%.
I've so been her.
100%. She's so...
Just like, give a guy a guitar and like sort of a sensitive vibe and it's all fucking over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
It's all over.
Cody like says, coming up in the 90s Chicago indie rock scene, memorably skewered in Liz Phair's classic 1993 album Exit in Guyville. Cody also saw the nastier side of being a young female follower of some of these bands. You would definitely meet these guys who seemed like they were on your side or seemed like they were emo and sensitive, and in reality they were sort of garden variety misogynists who didn't necessarily treat the women in their lives well. And we've seen it, more and more over and over again, that being the case. Even with like bands on this soundtrack, like one more quote. This is Megan Fox chiming in. She said that she was, quote, very lame as a teenager, so her obsessiveness was reserved for stalking NSYNC in the hopes of meeting Justin Timberlake. The quote being, I think I probably would have let him sacrifice me in the woods when I was 14.
I mean, honestly, like that is...
I get it.
Yeah, me too.
I get it.
There's definitely... Yeah, I had a very embarrassing time of like going to a lot of ska concerts in Jersey, or concerts, ska shows. God, I'm old. Going to a bunch of ska shows in Jersey, and always picking one good-looking member of the band to kind of like
be obsessed with. Yeah, totally. There's also, I'm not going to read anything else from this article because it's mostly quoting the Billboard one, but a sci-fi.com article by James Greeby, Why Through the Trees is actually the perfect song for Jennifer's Body. And in this article, it says their song sucks just the right amount, which is
that's kind of what I meant. I didn't say it that well, but that's kind of what I meant.
Exactly. It has to suck just enough to, you have to be able to recognize that like the song isn't blowing up because it's so good.
Exactly.
Again, like I said, all I want to highlight about the Jennifer's Body soundtrack is that it, like, for example, or similar to maybe casting Pete Wentz, like most of the bands on this album are in that genre. And so it, obviously not Florence and the Machine, but Panic at the Disco, who are like direct descendants of Fall Out Boy. Like I said, Hayley Williams has a song on it, even though Paramore doesn't. Dashboard Confessional, I think it's the closest connection to Low Shoulder that we have. These like big anthemic sensitive guy songs. Cute is what we aim for. There is that really fun Screeching Weasel cover of I Can See Clearly Now. Cobra Starship, All Time Low is a band who their reputation has been fully outed, I think, as being these kinds of, not necessarily Murdering Girls in the Woods scumbags, but what that's standing for. Silver Sun Pickups, like it's, and then interestingly, we have to talk about, Hole is on the soundtrack, but not Jennifer's Body.
Right.
So I love that it's doing double duty. It's Violet is the song.
Well, and supposedly that's where they originally wanted the Paramore song
to go.
That they were going to do. And then...
So were they not going to keep...
I think Hole was put in because they didn't have... This is what I remember in the reading. I don't have this written down. But originally, they wanted a Paramore song for that specific ending. And they couldn't get them to do it. And so that's why that's that whole song.
I wonder why it's not Jennifer's Body, though. It's a little too on the nose, I guess.
Probably.
I wonder if that's what it was going to be called, like where in the order of things that song went versus the title, because they were calling it Evil Jennifer for a while, I read.
Which is a really funny title, honestly.
Yeah. Verse 2 of that song is you're hungry but I'm starving, he cuts you down from the tree, he keeps you in a box by the bed alive but just barely. So it's like pretty...
Yeah.
Correct. Anyway, so
the last couple things I want to mention, we briefly touched on this at the beginning, but there is talk of a sequel.
Yeah.
And recently, like in an interview this year, Amanda Seyfried said, I'm looking forward to the sequel. They're working on it. I already said thumbs up. I was like, whenever you're ready, I'm ready. And they even were talking about like, well, these people are dead. And it's like, well, not really. I mean, they don't have to be dead. Like, because it's supernatural.
I mean, that's right.
Yeah. And they asked Amanda in an interview, like what she thought they were doing now, like Needy and Jennifer. And she said that she thinks Needy probably runs a branch of Planned Parenthood or something. And Jennifer is probably someone's chief of staff. It's like, okay. Cool. The other thing that is a very common thing that we find out about the movies that we do is that someone did a musical of it in Los Angeles.
Hold on. I missed that. I was going to say to you, I can't believe this hasn't been given the musical treatment.
It was like 2018 or 2019. It was a pretty short run, but it was called Jennifer's Body, the Unauthorized Musical from Hell. And it seems like it only maybe ran in Los Angeles.
Okay.
But yeah, it ran for a few months at the El Cid Theater. So yeah, who knows? But it did happen because of course it did. The last thing I kind of wanted to cover here, two little things. One, until they actually mentioned Minnesota, I was convinced this was a Jersey movie.
The abandoned house.
I want to explain myself. Yes. So they refer to, and this is just such a Jersey bias, they refer to the band coming in from the city. Obviously New York City, right?
Or Philly.
Coming into suburban Jersey. No, Sorry. No.
I mean, this is a South Jersey town more than a North Jersey town, but sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with that part. And the fact that there's a place called Devil's Kettle. We have the Devil's Tree. We have the Gates of Hell. We have, like...
There's a line about the way that Needy describes Nikolai. He was skinny and twisted and evil, like this petrified tree I saw when I was a kid.
Okay, yes, that was one of them.
That's a devil's tree.
Exactly. No, totally. And then also, this is again just my frame of reference coming in, but at one point, I think it's Needy is in the kitchen making what turns out to be fried bologna, but it looked like Taylor ham. I was like, but nobody makes that at home. You go to the bagel shop to get that, or the deli. But still, for a minute, I was like, that looks like she's making Taylor ham. This has to be in New Jersey. And then I was disappointed to find out it wasn't.
I'm so sorry. But yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to ask is, did you ever have a best friend necklace with someone?
Yeah, I had a few.
You had a few?
Well, I had a group of girls that I was friends with from like fifth we were friends after too, but I was like, there were 4 of us who were really close and spent like every weekend together. We were just always together. Mm-hmm. And so we would a few times had to get the like 2 of the same set and split them up. But we did it a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I still have my half of mine from my childhood best friend, because we were best friends from like first grade through high school.
Right.
That necklace was like an important signifier that like you belonged to someone.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It was a little bit like a proposal when you decided to do that, because it was like, oh, that's a big deal. You've got the best friend necklace. Like you tied to that person.
I didn't get that group of friends until 5th grade when I moved back to Camden County. But the 4 of us were so close, and they were my like witchy friends. And that's a good thing there were 4 of us, because the craft, there's north, south,
you
east,
need
west.
4. Yeah. For the cardinal directions.
Exactly. And so it was a little, and that's funny. I think that's maybe why I don't think I've ever really had the intense one-on-one friendship like that, but the 4 of us, like I said, were like at the hip attached.
Yeah, I
kind
definitely
of like all obsessed with each other in that way. But
yeah, I definitely had a bunch of those, like one-on-one, super intense female friendships. But
well, this is poly versus monogamous.
There you go.
It all tracks.
It all tracks. The last thing I want to mention, and this is so unrelated to literally everything else, I want to make a recommendation. If you haven't, so the font Papyrus features heavily in this movie.
Does it?
It does. It's in all the posters for like the spring floorball and everything.
Hilarious. I didn't notice. So, of course you did.
Of course I did. I would really like people, if they haven't seen it, to watch the SNL sketch on the font Papyrus.
It's perfect.
It is incredible. I think it was written by Julio Torres, who actually has a new special called Color Theory that I really want to watch. But that Papyrus sketch is, I mean, I will laugh at any sketch about fonts, like The Dropout, the scene from, I think it's Make Some Noise, where Brendan Lee Mulligan it's Times New Roman and Comic Sans meeting. It's one of the funniest, like all of my art nerd friends, like I will send that to them repeatedly. But so that's my main recommendation for the week, I think. Just go watch that Papyrus sketch, and also watch the Brendan Lee Mulligan and Zach Oyama scene of them being Times New Roman and Comic Sans. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I will link to those in our show notes.
I know this has nothing to do with that movie, but I just was like, I noted...
recommend whatever we want.
I literally wrote Papyrus with an exclamation point in my notes.
Speaking of Zach Oyama, you just reminded me another weird little connection. Did you watch, and also recommendation for me, have you ever watched Burning Love?
Did I watch Burning Love? No.
Yeah. Burning Love is it got like 2 or 3 seasons.
I've heard of it.
It's so good. It's a parody of like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Right.
Season 1 is Ken Marino as The Bachelor. Season 2 is June Diane Raphael as The Bachelorette. Season 3 is a more competition based one. It's past guests competing. Adam Brody is one of the Bachelor contestants. And it featured, like, Michael Ian Black is the host. Again, June Diane Raphael, Ryan Hansen, Ken Marino, Joe Latrulio, Janet Varney, Rob Hubel, Kumail Nanjiani, Natasha Leggero, Jerry O'Connell. Like, it is, the cast is crazy. Adam Brody, just so many people. Yeah. But the what made me just think of it is it was at least season 1, maybe all of it, was written by Erika Oyama, who is married to Ken Marino, but Zach Oyama's sister. Yeah.
Love that. Zach Oyama, one of the funniest people ever.
Nobody has better timing, I think, than Zach Oyama. I think that's his real superpower. Paul Scheer, Michael Cera, Colton Dunn, Adam Scott, Christine Taylor, Kristen Bell, Nick Kroll, Ben Stiller, Casey Wilson, Rob Delaney, Thomas Lennon, Paul Rudd. Anyway, I could keep going.
Yeah.
Go watch the Papyrus sketch and go watch every episode of Burning Love. It's so funny.
And go watch the Times New Roman Comic Sans. Just Google Brennan Lee Mulligan, Times New Roman, and it'll come up.
Yep. That was more of an episode. I knew we'd have a lot to talk about, but still.
I was so pleasantly surprised because I was one of the people that was duped by the marketing and just thought I would hate this movie and never wanted to watch it, but it was brought up so much that I felt like we had to.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I watched it.
Yeah, we should have trusted Karyn Kusama.
We absolutely should have.
That was our bad.
Yeah. So we should talk about next week.
I'm excited for next week.
I am too.
Said that so weird. I'm excited for next week.
We're going back to like my childhood.
Yeah, back to our real our
roots. Yeah. I'm excited. So what year was this? 87?
87, yeah.
Yeah, 87. You had found somewhere that either Karyn Kusama or Diablo Cody had mentioned this movie as something that they were interested in kind of updating.
Yeah, embarrassingly, or not embarrassingly, whatever. I found it quoted in the Wikipedia about Jennifer's body, and then it was quoted from like 2009, and I just think the article isn't up anymore.
Yeah,
is the problem. But it does have a citation. Did we say it yet? Do you want me to read the quote before we say the movie?
We did not say it yet, so feel free.
Cody, stated that when writing the script, she was, quote, simultaneously trying to pay tribute to some of the conventions that were already seen in horror, yet at the same time kind of turn them on their ear. And she wanted to honor those influences. And at the same time, she never really seen this particular subgenre, which we'll reveal in a minute, done with girls. And so she tried to do a little of both.
Amazing. So we are watching The Lost Boys.
Right. Which is directly referenced in that quote. I just left it out to be...
Yeah.
To build the suspense.
Not to jump ahead of our discussion next week, but there was an article that was published 4 days ago called The Lost Boys Musical Announces Broadway Cast Sets Opening Date. This keeps happening.
It just keeps happening.
The musical is coming, guys. I do too. I really do. Like, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I was very into the Corey Feldman, Corey Haim teen magazine thing of the 80s. I was more of a Corey Haim girl. He was more like delicate and sensitive.
For sure, yeah.
But they're both in it. Yeah, fucking Kiefer Sutherland, man. This is why I've always been afraid of him. Stand By Me, Lost Boys, Flatliners.
We have so many reasons to be watching this movie right now. It's
October.
Mm-hmm. It is referenced in Yellow Jackets, correct?
It's on the list from the movie. I don't know if it's directly referenced or just in the scenes, but yeah.
Diablo Cody connection to this week's movie.
Yep.
We've also been quietly kind of doing a paired. We watched Stand By Me, and Now and Then we watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Girl Interrupted. I like that we flipped it this time.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of unintentional that this keeps happening, but it's cool that it does.
It does. But the argument especially being, even if most of that weren't the case, Jennifer's body is not though it was been referred to as such as Twilight for boys.
Oh my God.
If anything, it is The Lost Boys for girls.
Yeah.
And so...
No, I'm excited to watch this again. This movie was really important to me when I was a little kid, when I was like 12, because I was 11 or 12 when this came out, and I fucking loved this movie. I watched it so many times.
Yeah. Really shaped my kind of I shouldn't say it really did. It's one of those movies that is really like put it in the blender to get what I'm into now.
Absolutely.
For sure.
It was another one of those movies where it was like a bunch of kids kind of living a weird, wild existence without parents. And I was like, I'm fucking in. Mm-hmm. Get me a house in a spooky part of California, I think. And, move in with a bunch of little vampire kids. Mm-hmm. I'm in.
The dream.
Absolutely.
So, that's what we're watching next week.
Yay. So that'll do it for us for this week. Where can they find us in the meantime?
We are at WatchersPodNJ on Instagram, WatchersPodNJ at Gmail, and they can call us at 856-336-8986. I'm really proud of that number. It's got a good cadence to it.
It does. You're right.
Thank you so much.
That is important.
Mm-hmm.
And they can find me on Instagram at Jodie_Mim, JODIE_MIM. And what do we say?
I'm at AQ Andrea.
Oh, yeah, you are.
But
I mean, you get to see pictures of Pacey and Toby and Kevin sometimes.
That's true. I'm not super active over there, and I don't have any cool art I'm putting up, but
still. Yeah. And what do we say at the end of our podcast, Andrea?
Oh, we say, knock yourself in the head.
That was bang yourself in the head.
It is. We say, bang yourself in the head.
Get in the car.
Go to New Jersey.
Go to New Jersey.